From Licking Dog to King. Chapter 5 The New Model. Hanji, isn't it a coincidence? Shen Hualan stammered. Shushu has returned to Jinggang and even has a boyfriend now. The elders always know how to hit the key points. But this topic didn't pique Zhou Hanji's interest. He merely glanced at his watch and reminded, "The auction is about to start." "Oh, I almost forgot the main event," Shen Hualan said enthusiastically, grabbing my hand. "Shushu, let's have a meal together sometime. Bring your boyfriend so Auntie can meet him." It was just a polite remark, so I didn't take it to heart and merely nodded perfunctorily. But Shen Hualan seemed unsatisfied and gave Zhou Hanji a reproachful look. "Say something, will you?" Zhou Hanji sneered. "How well do you know each other?" The atmosphere instantly plummeted to freezing point. But Zhou Hanji was right. Without him, Shen Hualan and I wouldn't have crossed paths at all. I found an excuse to leave. "Auntie, Mr. Zhou, I have something to attend to, so I'll take my leave." I had been holding in that sentence for a while. I had given enough face to the moneybags and calmly left the scene. As I walked away, I vaguely heard Shen Hualan ask, "Why does Shushu call you Mr. Zhou?" Her tone was probing. I rubbed my throbbing temples and walked towards the home appliance section. It was half an hour later when I finished buying an air purifier. The store offered free home delivery, which put my mind at ease as I headed downstairs. When the elevator reached the third-floor food court, a large group of people approached, led by none other than class president Yan Dong. He wore a black-collared jacket over a white t-shirt and dark casual pants, with a pair of silver-rimmed glasses on his face, giving him a somewhat husbandly appearance. In fact, after graduating from university, he didn't join a major company but stayed on as a faculty member. If I guessed correctly, the people around him were probably his students. He always had great interpersonal skills. I was hesitating whether to greet him when Yan Dong spotted me. He quickly got on the elevator, smiling. "Nansu, what a coincidence." The young people with him also followed and fixed their eyes on me. One of them teased, "Counselor, you're quite lucky with the ladies." "Don't joke around," Yan Dong said politely, explaining. "This is my classmate. You should all call her senior." The young men immediately straightened up and greeted in unison. "Hello, senior." Their comical behavior amused me. When the elevator reached the first floor, the young men scattered like they had planned it, but not before asking me to take care of their counselor. Yan Dong had been drinking. We went to the parking lot together, and I called a driver for him. Yan Dong asked, "Aren't you coming with me?" "It's not on my way," I replied honestly, not wanting him to feel burdened. "I've already called a car." Yan Dong sighed lightly and got out of the car, holding a beige checkered business briefcase. "Thanks for your help with the website last time," he said seriously. "Consider this a thank you gift." Coincidentally, the briefcase was just the right size for my laptop. It was finely crafted and made of high-quality leather, clearly expensive. I declined. "It's not appropriate." "I didn't help much." "Don't you like it?" Yan Dong's voice was disappointed and he blamed himself. "I guess I'm not good at picking gifts." "That's not what I meant." "Then take it," Yan Dong insisted firmly. "I was thoughtless this time, but I won't do it again, okay?" He then showed a remorseful expression. Knowing it would be hard to refuse, I reluctantly nodded. Only then did Yan Dong get back in the car, reminding me to text him when I got home. As I watched the black BMW disappear, I turned and walked towards the subway entrance. After just a few steps, I heard the crisp sound of a lighter. Curious, I glanced around and saw Zhou Hanji standing not far away. His face was obscured by smoke. I continued walking in silence, but then his cold voice reached my ears. "Is this the new model you chose?" Zhou Hanji's gaze fell on my briefcase as he spoke, his eyes sharp. I had no idea when Zhou Hanji had appeared or why he was commenting on a briefcase. Puzzled, I suddenly remembered Lin Cici's question from earlier in the studio. I guess Zhou Hanji might have thought I had a new laptop. Why did he care about the old and the new? Meeting his gaze, I calmly said, "This doesn't seem to be under the investor's jurisdiction, does it?" Zhou Hanji's expression froze. He took a deep drag of his cigarette, then crushed the butt under his foot and walked away. He changed his mood quickly. "What a sin. Offending a sugar daddy is never a good thing. I should have been more patient. I didn't want Wu Ling to come back from a business trip to find the company in chaos because of me." The next morning, I went to work as usual and didn't see Zhou Hanji downstairs. I felt a bit relieved, but soon that feeling was disrupted by a series of local deliveries. Miss Lin, please sign for your laptop. Miss Lin, please sign for your laptop bag. Miss Lin. When Lin Cece opened the 8th package, it contained allergy medicine. Xiaoya at the front desk, always eager to join the fun, pointed at the sender's name and said, "Is it Mr. Zhou again? Oh my, he's good-looking and generous. What a perfect boyfriend." Lin Cece looked at the pile of packages like a small mountain, her eyes filled with undisguised joy. She closed the door with a flushed face and started unwrapping the packages while making a phone call. The office was close to the corridor, and her excited voice drifted into my ears. "Senior, you're too much. You must have spent a lot of money on all this." "No, that won't do. Let me treat you to a meal." Whatever the person on the other end said made Lin Cece cover her mouth and laugh. "Senior, you're teasing me again." I glanced at my worn-out laptop and smirked self-deprecatingly. 6 years of effort had earned me a worthless prize, incomparable to the carefully chosen gifts for a girlfriend. After lunch, Wang Jia handed me the code he had completed last night for review. After some thought, I knocked on Lin Cece's office door. When I entered, she was fiddling with her new laptop. Rose Gold, a famous brand with the lowest configuration starting at 10,000 yuan. Mr. Zhou certainly had deep pockets. Seeing me, Lin Cece's eyes flashed with embarrassment. She explained, "Sorry, Senior. I didn't know Senior Hanji would send so many gifts. I hope it didn't bother anyone. How's the work I gave you yesterday coming along?" Lin Cece widened her eyes, looking innocent. "I'm sorry, Senior. The new laptop just finished setting up, so I haven't had time to write the code." "As expected. Can you finish a part by the end of the day?" Lin Cece looked troubled. "I'll try my best." Since she said she'd try, I didn't push her. But back at my desk, I took over her work. After all, she was part of our tech department. Even if she was from the investor's side, she couldn't just have a title without doing any work. Simple programs still needed to be written. Otherwise, over time, it would cause dissatisfaction among other colleagues. Since she hadn't finished, I had to do it. I got so busy that it was already past 7 in the evening when I looked at the time. I glanced at Lin Cece's office and she was still there, texting. Noticing my gaze, Lin Cece got up and approached me with her laptop. "Senior, I've written a part. Can you check it?" Her tone was ingratiating. It made me feel a bit embarrassed. I quickly reviewed the code and was momentarily speechless. Maybe my expectations for her were too high. Just as I was about to speak, the young girl's eyes reddened and she said, "Senior, am I too stupid?" As soon as she finished speaking, the office door suddenly opened without warning. I looked up and saw Zhou Hanji standing at the entrance. His gaze first fell on Lin Cece, who looked at him in surprise. The next second, her eyelashes drooped, and she bit her lip gently. She looked quite aggrieved. Chapter 6, Correction. As I got closer, I could see the displeasure in Zhou Hanji's eyes. "Manager Meng, care to explain?" he asked, sounding all businesslike. Lin Cece spoke before I could. "Senior, it has nothing to do with Manager Meng. It's my own fault for being too slow." The young girl then put on a regretful expression. "You wait in the car," Zhou Hanji said gently, as if to comfort her. Lin Cece looked at me first, as if seeking my permission. I couldn't help but feel amused. With the big boss around, why would she need to look at my face? Seeing that she hadn't moved, Zhou Hanji added, "Be good." Only then did Lin Cece obediently gather her things and leave. A little while later, Zhou Hanji called me into Lin Cece's office. With his back to me, his gaze roamed around the office before finally landing on my face. "Haven't bought the air purifier yet?" He was surprisingly attentive. I replied in a low voice. "The store said they'll deliver it tomorrow." Zhou Hanji didn't respond immediately. His long fingers tapped lightly on the desk before he spoke. "Lin Cece isn't like you. She barely made it into Nanda. Don't be too hard on her." Hard on her? Just asking her to write a simple piece of front-end code was considered too hard in Zhou Hanji's eyes. Fine, the big boss has the final say. I paused for 2 seconds and then rationally asked, "So, Mr. Zhou, how should I assign tasks to Miss Lin in the future?" Zhou Hanji looked up at me, his gaze colliding with mine again. He said seriously, I don't want to see a repeat of today's incident. His tone was admonishing, and his determined eyes made it clear that Zhou Hanji was fully protective of someone. A dense pain surged in my chest and I heard myself say, "I'll follow Mr. Zhou's instructions." By the time I saw Zhou Hanji off, it was already 8 p.m. Wang Jia hadn't left yet. Seeing me sitting motionless at my desk, he asked with concern, "Sister Nansu, are you feeling unwell?" "No." "Then why do you look so pale? Should I take you to the hospital?" I waved my hand. "Maybe I'm just hungry. You go ahead." Wang Jia looked at me as if he wanted to say something but hesitated. He had been sitting in the corner while Zhou Hanji confronted me. After thinking for a moment, I added, "Really, I'm fine. Go home and rest early." Only then did Wang Jia leave. I sat quietly for a moment, then opened my computer. But the more I typed, the messier the code became. Memories from the past wrapped around my heart like vines in the dark night, tightening until I could barely breathe. 6 years, over 2,000 days and nights, might be nothing compared to Lin Cici's moment of grievance in Zhou Hanji's eyes. I spent the entire night coding, dividing the front and back ends of the game. If progress was fast, the build could be completed in 3 months. I just needed to work a little harder. When Lin Cici ran into me brushing my teeth in the break room, her almond eyes flashed with panic. "Senior, did you not go home last night?" I calmly replied, "There was a problem with the line of code. I spent some time fixing it." Lin Cici looked at me with concern. "That's too hard. Wait, I have some nuts that Senior Hanji sent. I'll get you some." She then darted away like a playful little rabbit, carefree, as if yesterday's unpleasantness had never happened. This must be what it's like to be pampered. Unlike me, all I had to show was a pile of code. For 2 days straight, I buried myself in work day and night until a phone call interrupted. It was Shen Hualan. "Shushu, tomorrow is the weekend. Auntie knows a great private restaurant. Why don't you and your boyfriend come and try it?" I had no idea how Shen Hualan got my number, but I knew she had ulterior motives behind the invitation. What was she trying to probe? Could it be that Zhou Hanji hadn't mentioned Lin Cici to her yet? Whatever the reason, I had no interest in getting involved in the Zhou family's affairs. So I responded, "Sorry, Auntie, I have to work overtime tomorrow." She probably didn't expect my refusal. After a brief pause, she complained, "Hanji told me Rongyu invested in your project. I'll talk to him about not putting too much pressure on you." She was using her identity as the investor's mother to pressure me. I rubbed my forehead and relented. "Auntie, how about tomorrow night?" "Great, I'll send you the address. Remember to bring your boyfriend." I didn't have a boyfriend. Oh well, I deal with Shen Hualan tomorrow. On Saturday evening, I arrived as promised at a private restaurant on the outskirts of the city. The place was elegantly decorated in a classical style. Even the waitstaff wore refined attire, clearly a high-end establishment. Shen Hualan's status had evidently risen. Inside the private room, the well-maintained woman looked at me in surprise and asked, "Why are you alone? Didn't your boyfriend come?" "He's busy." Shen Hualan withdrew her gaze, a hint of suspicion in her eyes, and said, "No matter. Hanji is on his way. Let's order first." My hand paused as I held the teacup. Zhou Hanji was coming tonight too? Seeing my silence, Shen Hualan gave me a probing look and asked, "Shushu, does your company work with Hanji? Do you know a girl named Lin Cici?" It seemed I was right. Zhou Hanji hadn't formally introduced Lin Cici to his family yet. I answered formally, "I don't see Mr. Zhou often, so I'm not sure." Shen Hualan sighed. "I went to Rongyu yesterday and heard from the receptionist that Hanji ordered an expensive little dress from the designer, and the recipient was Miss Lin." She glanced at me after speaking. I smiled and said, "Auntie, you can ask Mr. Zhou about that." I couldn't meddle in other people's private affairs, especially when it came to Zhou Hanji. Seeing that I was tight-lipped, Shen Hualan complained, "Shushu, Auntie is just worried. To be honest, I've seen Miss Lin's personnel file. Her family runs a small eatery, and she was an average student. I really don't know what Hanji sees in her." Shen Hualan's point was clear. Someone like Lin Cici wasn't worthy of Zhou Hanji. I was surprised too. I had always thought that the girl Zhou Hanji cherished would at least be the daughter of a wealthy family in Jinggang. "Look at me." Shen Hualan quickly covered her mouth, saying, Shoo, Auntie didn't mean anything by it. Come on, let's order. I figured she was frustrated that Zhou Hanji had chosen a girl who wasn't even on par with me. But favoritism in this world isn't based on logic. Not long after, Zhou Hanji arrived in formal attire. Seeing only me and Shen Hualan in the private room, a playful look flashed across his face. Your boyfriend didn't come? As if he was certain I had been lying. I realized that my previous stance in front of this mother and son duo had been too low, giving them the impression they could manipulate me. The phone on the table beeped with a notification. I glanced at it. It was a message from Yin Dong. Are you free tomorrow night? I heard this suspense drama is good. Want to watch it together? Holding my phone, I replied lightly. Next time, I'll definitely bring him. Welcome to subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell and follow.